back to the Business and Brews Show. My name is Ryan Smeltz.
And I'm Kevin Vinson.
And ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have the pleasure of introducing David with Allonsy Studio.
Welcome to the Business and Brews podcast, where our mission is to highlight local businesses in the Triangle area and shed light on different industries.
I just want to say thanks to our off-screen producer, Nick.
Yeah.
I don't know if you went to school for that or what, but that was pretty on point today.
It's very professional.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, me, I am the project manager at Allonsy Studio, and we are a web design and branding company. Mainly what I do is if you call Allonsy Studio to work with us, I'm the guy you're going to be talking to. You know, I kind of handle... I'm the face of the company. Unfortunate face, but
yeah,
that's just how it goes.
Okay. I'm stuck with this one, so it's together.
I wasn't going to say anything about that.
How's your week been, man?
It's been pretty good, man. But by the way, thank you so much for covering for me last week. I got a chance to take my wife down to the beach for her birthday, so thank you for not making my wife kill me. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, definitely. I know how that is. So.
Yeah, well, you will know how it is. Yeah. But by the way, when is the big day? Have you guys set a date, given the current situation?
We shifted,
Yeah.
We're looking at buying a house, so it's kind of a matter of, what order and we want to do things in it.
Yeah.
Money they all cost.
Yeah. Yeah, man, and sitting in this chair definitely feels a little bit different. But we are at Trek CBD again, so I do feel better about that. That it's almost like a second home now. I mean, I swear last week, I felt out of sorts because I wasn't here. This is kind of like my Sunday evening routine. And
so I think I'm pretty sure it's Trek CBD Studios at this point.
yes, that's right. It is Trek CBD Studios. Yep. Right off of, and what's the website again?
Yeah, so TrekCBD.com.
Mm-hmm.
I like to bring that up because, like I talked about last week, a lot of times, people leaving their homes, maybe they can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, during the month of August, their store, their physical location is actually closed on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What's great about it is the website's open 24/7.
That's nice.
Just go to TrekCBD.com. My mom, I talked about her before, getting the CBD stuff. She lives in Burlington. They offer free shipping on a lot, if not all, of their stuff online. So you can just order it on the internet and it shows up at your doorstep.
That's pretty awesome. So that way, if it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and they're not open, you can just order it right online.
TrekCBD.com.
That's right. I love it.
That's the way to go. So this week I've just been focused on, besides my full-time job, just really working on. I've got a new VA, so now I'm up to 3 virtual assistants.
Wow.
So 2 of them are each focused on a single sales channel,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them does all my writing. So really just knocking that out, developing the processes. I'm developing a new process to be able to offer businesses, testing with my own Google reviews, which is super important for rankings and just being visible on Google. So I'm having them work on that as well.
All right. Good. How'd you, just out of curiosity, what website did you use to find your VAs? Do you remember?
So, way back.
Like 3 months ago?
No, I mean, probably 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I used to use onlinejobs.ph and Upwork and stuff like that. But now I just know so many different ones.
Oh, you can just reach out, yeah.
I need somebody that does this, or I need somebody that I can have handle this, or that I can train on this, or they can work these hours or whatever. And, I actually probably know 5 or 10 different ones that I have an open line of communication with. This one knows I'm able to find people that.
It's pretty good.
Fit my needs.
Pretty good. How about you, David? How's your week been, man? Sorry.
It's all right. It's
this bromance here is just it's just budding. It's a budding bromance. Yeah, man. I mean, really, man.
I know it's like. I mean, I've got
going through
one of those
withdrawal.
going on at work, and if you know how it is. It's been like 2 whole days. It's very difficult.
Yeah,
Off together all the time. I got 2 wives. I should.
Yeah. So would that make you my work wife or work husband? Like, how would that? Never mind. We won't even get into that. David, anyway, how's your week been?
Man, it's been hot. It's a little too warm out there for me.
God,
But this is the South, so that's my fault. Should have stayed up north where I belonged.
That's right. Yeah.
You know how it is. People don't like the Yankees anyway, so.
Baseball. What's that?
Ooh. I mean, us Northerners. That's the problem. You know how it is. I belong in Cary with the rest of us Yankees.
Ah.
That's okay. I was born up there, so.
Whereabouts?
Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
All right.
Amish country. Hence the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
No, yeah, I see a mustache. It might not be 100%.
Yeah, so definitely. So actually, this week, Kevin, we have the pleasure of hosting some Lone Rider again.
Nice.
So the beers we're all drinking. David, why don't you start us off? Which one do you have?
I got with we got Badlands Dunkel Lager, because it sounded like a very good choice.
Yeah, definitely. I like it. I actually have the same thing. Kevin, what about you?
I have the saloon style Pilsner because it's a little too. Yeah, that's a pretty good beer, but I wanted a lager, so it's pretty good. A Pilsner, so.
I like it. So thanks to Trek CBD for bringing these, and thanks to Lone Rider for the very delicious beer.
Yes. The only thing better than Lone Rider beer is free Lone Rider beer.
Amen.
So David, you talked about a little bit about who you are and what you do. But I'm really curious, because I believe you said that your wife is involved in the business as well.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about the big picture, and maybe a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like.
Well, sure. So, like I said, we do web design and branding. I'm really just meant to be the person that you interact with. I'm here to walk through, make sure everything stays on track, make sure that you know what's going on. So my day-to-day is basically keeping up with customers, just like any good salesman.
Right.
Got to stay on top of what's going on, keep work flowing in, handle some of the social media things. And then my wife, she's kind of this is her brainchild. She handles the design and the brands, and she makes the logos, puts everything together, and I'm just here to, I guess, take some of the credit.
Good husband. Great husband.
Yeah.
So with that, I mean, given that this is 2020 and, branding evolves and it seems like it's kind of just definitely evolved and shifted in the past few years. Like, what does that look like day to day in 2020?
That's a good question because now it's a lot different than it used to be.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people get confused when they hear brand. The first thing they think is logo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just it. Like, the easiest way to think of a brand would be how you feel about something. So if I pick this up and you see that little apple back there, it's about how you feel about that apple. So if you own an Apple product, it probably means that at home there's an iPad, a MacBook, an iMac. You probably got the whole lineup. You probably got the Apple EarPods or whatever the heck they're calling them these days. I got to stay out of the technology game. But it's how you feel about them. So once you see that little Apple logo that you're going to like whatever they dish out. Doesn't matter what it is. How often does the iPhone change? It doesn't. It's the same exact thing since the first iPhone till now. The whole design stayed basically the same. The operating system has just made it so it can do a little bit more than it used to, but you buy it because how you feel about the brand. So now it's about how you feel about the company that you're buying from or that you're working with.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of that shifts. Like, what mediums do you guys usually focus on, or how are businesses developing that branding nowadays, as opposed to say 20 years ago or even 30 years ago?
20 years ago, let's say 30 years ago was almost a little before my time, certainly before my wife's. So I think it's more back then. It was about just having something that popped, that stood out from everybody else. So you said, okay, I like the way this looks.
Right.
Nowadays, it's about connecting with the people that are going to be buying from you. So I think there was a recent commercial that Nike just put out where they've basically split the screen in half, and they have two different athletes from different sports doing vastly different activities, but they've been able to sync them up so well. And the whole story is that we're all one people, we're all family here, And that's what's going to push them into kind of the next wave. Everything's about digging in and, making sure that you make a connection with them. It's not just, I like Nike because they make shoes, or, I love Jordans, or I love this, or it's about what that company is doing or how you feel about them. So by turning from what they used to do and, think of the 50s and 60s where it's just like, Cary Grant smokes this, so you should smoke it too. It's that, you just got a celebrity out there smiling with a thumbs up, and you're engaged. Nowadays, it's more about, well, what do they do for, my generation's kind of pushing into, what are you doing for the earth? What are you doing for the people? What are you doing for your community? And that's what branding's got to become, starting, well, yesterday really, but from here on out, it's got to be, what's your connection to your audience?
That's interesting. So, it sounds like you've got a pretty good handle of like what you're doing, where you're headed with all this. I guess something I like to ask everyone is, with this whole virus stuff going on, how has that impacted what you guys do? I'm guessing you've seen a little uptick in business overall. How's that affected you? What have you done with this?
It's been surprising. I thought for sure that business would start to slow down, that people would be kind of loath to spend money and invest in a business. But I think a lot of people are realizing that, or at least a lot of our clients are realizing that they've got to find a way to engage people differently than they used to. It's, since you mentioned sales, working with channels and things like that, that you've got to touch a customer 5, 6, 7, 10 times before they're interested in what you've got. But the more personal you are, the easier it's going to be to get them to jump on board with you. So for us, we just kind of changed the way that we were looking at the business and said, maybe we need to go to people directly. We know that they're thinking maybe now's not a good time to do this, but what if we got on the phone with them and said, hey, this is something that you can do now, and it would be the best thing you could do. So that way, when business starts picking up again, when things go back to being normal, hopefully, once everything's kind of cleared out and we go back to being just regular people, now you've got a whole new look that people are kind of interested in, and now's the perfect time to do something.
Yeah, it seems like this would be the time to double down. I mean, because when everybody else is scared, let's go on and double down on that budget. That way, when the market does shift back, we're number one, or we're at the front of mind.
It's a scary thought to say, it's the spend money to make money. It's scary to think I've got to spend money, but it's invested in a business. You got no choice. It's the best thing you can do now to make sure that customers know who you are and feel good about you.
Well, so take us back a little bit. And so, how did you and the wife get started in this business? Like, how did you guys get the idea to start this type of business? I mean, was this her background, or was there just like this light bulb that went off and said, I've got it, this is the business we're starting?
With this kind of business, you kind of have to know what you're doing. I mean, nowadays there are things out there like Wix where you can make your own website, but here's the thing, you've got to put a lot of time and effort into it. It's like when you call a plumber. Yeah, you can go to Home Depot, you can get all the parts, you can figure it out on your own, but now what took that plumber 20 minutes to fix took you 8 hours.
And you get none of the plumber's crack.
Is your wife happy about waiting 8 hours for hot water? Probably not. No. So it's the same thing here. And did he do a better job than you? Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure he did. Looks better. It's not going to break in 6 months, and you're not sitting there going, oh, geez, I hope I put the right amount of something in there. Yeah. For us, it's kind of the same thing. It's my wife was in a completely different career path and then decided, I'm not really happy with what she's doing. So she wanted to go back to school. So we sent her to school. And when she got done, she did a lot of, we call it white label design, where we do the work and somebody else gets the credit. Right. So if you looked really, really closely in white letters on a white background, you would see Allonsy Studio. Took a little while for us to say it's probably a good idea to jump out and go out on our own, but I guess eventually when it's the right time, and that's pretty much what it led to. And I've been in a lot of businesses helping them kind of change the way that they do things. It wasn't really something I went to school for. I just kind of learned it the hard way. A lot of common sense stuff. People just don't think that far ahead. Yeah. And when she said, I'm ready to go out on my own, I was like, all right, I know what you need to do. Come on.
So what have been some of the challenges that you guys have faced just jumping out there into, what seems to be a very intricate and complex industry?
the main thing is you got to stay ahead of the curve. So you need to know what's coming down the pike. You need to be able to kind of figure out what the next shift in marketing is going to be, and you've got to be prepared to make a move along with what the current trends are. So we prefer to focus on things that are more, I guess you could say, timeless, a little classic, clean, modern, but still something that whether I brand you today or I brand you 10 years from now, people aren't, it's not going to age poorly.
And it still resonates with what's going on today.
Yeah, and that's something I think a lot of companies miss out on. Is there are a lot of people that are, the wham bam thank you ma'am type companies where I get you in, I give you a brand, and 5 years from now it doesn't fit you anymore. I mean, what's the point in spending the money? And it's a lot of money to spend on a new brand or a website or something like that if it's not going to work for you 5 years from now. Minor changes, little updates here and there, but if you need to change everything, that's a problem.
So how do you combat? I'm sorry, am I still on all the questions? I feel like I'm making up for lost time since I wasn't here last week. My fault. So I'm a business. I'm a medium-sized business, and I know that it's time for me to really invest my time, energy, effort, and in this case, dollars into developing my brand and, really putting a strategy to get together for that. What is the value proposition of hiring you guys versus doing it myself in-house?
Again, think about the plumbers. It's you've got, you can do it yourself, but aren't there about a million other things that you need to do with your business? Wouldn't it be easier if you let somebody who does that solely handle it for you, someone who knows what's happening in the markets, someone who knows what to expect coming in the next couple of years, saying, all right, your idea works, but what if we just change this little bit, switch just this little off where you are, and now you've got something that lasts you the next 10 years.
Yeah.
That's something that we want to do for people, is make sure that they're spending time where they need to spend the time rather than worrying, did I do everything just right? Is the website just perfect? Because, if you're not losing your hair, you will be losing it by the time you're done.
Yeah, but that's a great point. I think that's something that, a lot of, especially in the beginning phases of building a business, a lot of people kind of miss out on is, how valuable your time actually is. I always compare it to, if you're busy and you're running a successful company, you're more than likely going to hire a lawn guy. You're not going to spend 2 or 3 hours cutting your grass just to save $50 to $100 when your time could be better spent working on your business for 2 or 3 hours and actually getting a better return on it. So, you're absolutely right. It does pay to actually hire a professional who actually knows what they're doing, can get it done more efficient, and it'll probably be a lot more cost effective.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. I've had my unfortunate share of trying to throw a website together and not know what to do. Completely agree with that. And the same thing goes for, marketing and advertising as well. Me and my brother's actually a plumber.
Yeah.
He owns a plumbing company. And he's pivoted probably 4 to 6 times on companies until we finally found the right one. Because it's really a matter of, him trying to do it himself, me trying to do it myself, and him finding out that just because a company is in marketing and advertising doesn't necessarily mean they offer what he needs to make his company run efficiently.
Right.
That's a lot of things that we see lately. Is there's a lot of advertising agencies that are offering web design and branding, but they're, as we're finding out, they're more of the mind that you just need a logo. It's not about everything behind the company. So the company's got to have a voice. The website, everything that's written on there is what people know about you. It's the yellow pages. That's why everybody wanted to take out that full page ad back in the day, because they wanted that logo to stand out in front of everybody's face, and you had to pack that thing full of information. Now we don't have to do that. Now you've got a whole website that's got 10, 12, 15, 50 pages of information about you. So if you get into it with a marketing agency that's just going to throw a bunch of buzzwords out there and not really explain who you are you doing yourself any favor? Probably not.
That's a good way to look at it. So, David, I know you guys probably handle several different businesses, a lot of small businesses, a lot of local businesses. What would you say? I'm curious if you've seen any pivots from them during this time, during the pandemic with lockdowns going on, especially if you have any clients who are like, brick and mortar stores. What are some of the changes you've seen them make, and how has that benefited them?
some of the big changes that we've seen lately is for brick and mortar, at least, would be switching to being able to curbside pickup, email in an order. Heck, even Chinese food restaurants, you can place your order online, roll up to the front door, and your food's ready to go. So there's a lot more companies accepting that. People are going forward. People might be a little worried about stepping inside a business. So it's more about making yourself accessible online, making it easy for your customers to figure out how to get your products or to get your services, how to book through without having to deal with you. I mean, I'm one of those people where if I can't do it from my phone, I probably don't want to be doing it. You know, I very rarely use a computer unless I absolutely have to, because we carry them in our pockets now.
Absolutely.
So that's becoming a bigger and bigger thing. Is we got to be accessible on mobile. We've got to have everything that a client needs, and we've got to be able to service what their needs are without setting foot inside. So the brick and mortars want to be online. They want to be able to ship. You know, you integrating automatic shipping where all you've got to do is pay, and all they got to do is get an email that says send it to Joe Schmo at 123 Main Street, and it's done.
Yeah.
Simplify.
Sorry, Joe, for getting off your address.
I'd suggest you change that name.
I do too.
So I'm really curious, because you talked a little bit just now about like what it looks like from a business owner standpoint. Like, what are some of the things they need or want, and where they want to get to? But what is your general process look like? Like, you find a business owner, so I'm sure you hold some sort of consult or something, and then you set goals, and then there's a time frame there. Like, what does that look like from a big picture standpoint?
Well, the first things first is consultation only is to determine whether or not I'm the right company for you. So if I'm not offering what you want, then, you know, I'm not going to try and stretch myself to reach what you're looking for. That just means I'm not the right match for you. We think of what we do more like craftsmanship. You know, if you call a carpenter and you want him to build you a porch, most of them can. But can you find one that can make a perfectly round doorway? No, that's like a lost and dying art. That's something that you got to go do some research. We want to be that kind of company where we're finding a way to build exactly what you need. And we might not be the perfect match for everybody. We don't expect to be the perfect match for everybody.
That's that is a great point, and definitely one of those things that not a lot of people give a lot of thought to, because just because you're a business doesn't mean that every client is a good client for you, is a good fit for you. Because I think we've all had those, I mean, just being in the business world, I think we've all had those nightmare clients where we're like, oh my gosh, I just wish I would just give him his money back and he'd just go away. Because it's just like the worst thing ever. Just like, it's almost like a marriage. It's like a bad marriage. Let's just divorce that guy. But it's just, you know, but I think that's one of those things that definitely takes time to, you know, identify, hey, you know, this is the kind of business that we are. And, you know, we're looking for another business that's going to be a good fit for us. So that way we're going to add gasoline to the fire that you guys are trying to start here.
Yeah. So, yeah, if I'm not the right match, then I'm definitely not going to go any further than that. But once we are, I mean, we've got to figure out what you want. So if you call Allonsy Studio or you email us and you're interested, I'm going to set up a time so we can sit down and have a Zoom conversation, because I like to be face-to-face. I mean,
yeah.
I'd rather you know who you're dealing with. Just like I'd rather you know everything that's involved. And, yeah, it gets boring. I've got to talk technical and tell you what's going on. But it's better that you know what to expect than to just kind of go, well, I wonder what they're doing in the background.
So with that, I mean, and, you know, I guess it's something I've always wondered, you know, what type of, I know we call them KPIs, like key performance indicators, like what metrics do you guys look at to see if a certain piece of branding or a certain piece of material is landing well or performing well with consumers? First
thing we've got to do is determine what about the brand doesn't work right now. So if you said, I've got this going on and it's just, I'm not getting enough clients. Well, what clients are you looking for? What's your current best client? What's the best kind of client you've got now? What is the client that you're missing out on? So we've had several customers come to us and say, you know, I'm doing really well in this age group, but I really need to be hitting into this age group, and this is what my service does, and I just can't seem to break into it. So it's about figuring out what attracts this type of customer. As a business owner, you know what kind of customers you want to deal with.
Right.
You know your product better or your service better than anybody else, so you know what kind of person needs your product or service. That's what we need to glean from you is, what do I need? What does that branding need to become to attract those people that you're looking for?
Right.
So that's step one. And once we get it up and running, it's about how free. So nowadays it's more about social media than anything. I mean, everything's got to tie back to social media. You go to a website, on the bottom you'll see Twitter, which I think people still use. I assume they still use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I mean, they've all become one. Everything that was meant to be a separate thing, Facebook was meant for your friends. Instagram was meant for you to share what you're doing on your weekend. And LinkedIn was meant to be professional. They're all just one big thing together. So they're all linked together. So we got to find a way to drag everybody in. And heck, it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 80. You're probably using one or more of those platforms. Right. So how do we just find your voice for your brand and then put it out there to bring those customers in that you're not already getting?
Gotcha.
So, David, it sounds like your day-to-day, like how you handle all of your current clients is pretty solid. You guys have a proven system. You put it in place each time you talk to someone. So that's especially good when it comes to business owners and people who are unsure of where they're going or how to implement their own branding. So I guess my question is, where do you see the Allonsy Studio headed in the future? What are some of y'all's long-term goals?
Well, the biggest thing for me now is we would like to expand what we're doing. So right now we're dealing mainly with web design and branding, a little bit of the social media. We want to start bringing in kind of the SEO side of the business. Was you really have to have somebody doing that full time. I mean, that is 100% a full-time job. You can do it on your own as a business owner, but again, there's not enough hours in the day for you to do all of that and the day job at the same time. So we'd love to see things start to grow and expand and bring more people in. I mean, since we're thinking of ourselves as craftspeople, we would want to keep the team small. You should never have to deal with anybody but me, because that's just how we like it. The whole mom and pop thing is something that people appreciate, at least now, and I'm sure they will appreciate it in the future, because mom and pop drugstores existed in the 50s and they're still around today, so there's no reason that it won't be that way 30 years from now. Yeah. So we definitely see ourselves starting to expand a little bit and add some more things in, but we still want to be able to handle things personally without having to, if not meeting directly with these clients, then overseeing every part of that project until it's completed.
So for those entrepreneurs out there, those young entrepreneurs who, are listening to the show and they're saying, hey, that sounds like a great idea. That sounds like something I would be good at. What advice would you give them if they wanted to start a business doing the same thing? Not being quite the craftsman you guys are, but
just do it. Yeah. That's kind of the biggest thing. I think most people are afraid to just jump out and try it because you don't know what you're doing. And that's okay. You don't have to know what you're doing. There's more than enough people. Think of the bread aisle. How many brands of bread are out there? You can get the one that's made in the bakery, the 33 different types of bread that they make, or you can walk down the bread aisle and there's another 415 different types of bread, and somebody's buying every single one of them. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Some people like Wonder Bread. Some people like real bread.
You're saying Wonder Bread's not real bread?
No. 100%.
Well, yeah. We're trying to get Wonder Bread as a sponsor here. So
it's more like...
Thanks, David. Messed that one up.
Yeah, they say Wonder Bread. It's more like, I wonder if this is actually bread.
I'm special. Yeah.
But if you look at it that way, I mean, it's like you just got to go. There's always clients out there. If you want to start a business, just go ahead and do it. I mean, there's nothing stopping you except for you.
I like it.
You just got to try.
That's probably the most inspiring thing I've heard all day, actually. I like that.
I'm one of those people that ain't afraid of nothing. I mean, heck, we pick, when we moved to Raleigh, we just throwing darts at a dartboard.
It reminds me a lot of a conversation I had with some bearded guy a long time ago at an Amazon meetup. In the first conversation, he was like, you know what, I'm not really a planner, I'm more of a doer. And I was like, I like that guy.
I feel that right here. I totally understand it.
I always tell people, if you tell me to go me scraping dirt away from the ground, yelling, "Somebody give me a shovel."
No, you have to tell the marathon one though. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna condition and run. Try to figure it all out. I'm just gonna go run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the analogy you used when I first met you, actually.
So, I mean, that's a really good analogy. It's kind of funny because that's the way the third one went that I ran, because I was getting out of the Army at the time.
Uh-huh.
So there was no, like, my work schedule was screwed up. I couldn't go to any of the training runs. I couldn't prepare for this. I don't even think I got new shoes. I just, I went out running, and I want to say I put in like a couple 5 or 10 milers before
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, well, race day is here. I'll take up the race jacket. I've already done it twice before. Let's go.
Let's do it.
About the only thing I can run is a fever, so.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. You just have to put one foot in front of the other a lot.
Yeah, that's what my wife got me one of those, we're going to do a 5K, beginner 5K thing. So I'm looking forward to it, but I am not doing it right now.
Oh my God! I mean,
No.
let me tell you about my wife and I's first experience on a 5K. So I've run a couple of them, but we decided we were going to run one together. The Thanksgiving one, right there on Wade Avenue, the one they do the thing for Thanksgiving. So, my wife books it. She's like, okay, I'm ready for my first 5K, blah, blah, blah. We get there, and it's an 8K. And she almost had a heart attack for it to be a first race. I was like, what are you talking about? It's just an extra 3K. We got this.
See, this is how I know. This is how I know we got similar backgrounds. Because, man, when you say I'm a doer, well, I signed up for it. Nightdale was supposed to have the Pot of Gold 5K, which is right around St. Patty's, and I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, I'm in for sure. I literally only aired one pair of shoes at a time. And they were not running shoes, which is 50% of the reason I bought these was because I figured I had to run in them. Turns out they're not good for running, so I'm glad it didn't happen. But now I get to be prepared for next year, provided that I don't know if you can do a socially distanced 5K. I assume that would be incredibly long.
No, it's outside. I mean, that's the first step.
Yeah, I'm not running with a mask. I can tell you that.
No. I don't think that's going to work.
I don't care what time of year it is.
So, are you ready to transition to my favorite part of the show? Or you?
I am.
You have another? Yeah, you might. It looks like you have a lot on your mind.
I mean, normally right now we would do the audience questions. I'm working on getting out who our guest is going to be the following week so we can field those questions.
Yeah.
But this episode, I think, is the first time I've put the Anchor link in the show notes, in the description.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been broadcast on the podcast. However, now it'll be on Facebook and YouTube as well. A link they can click. They can support us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's for as little as 99 cents a month, so that's not too shabby.
How many meals does that buy us?
I think ramen is about 30 cents a pack.
Okay, so that's we split it. That's 3 meals for
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
For the whole month.
Yeah.
And, also, there's another link for Anchor where they can actually call in and leave us a message. So, since we don't have any questions already set up for David, if you guys do have questions, please check out the notes. If you gained any value, definitely support us. I know for a fact that you pay $10 a month for unlimited music, so $1 a month for a podcast that helps you grow your business probably isn't a shabby deal, but definitely leave us a message, call in. If it's for David or any one of our previous guests, I can reach out, I can get the answer for you. If it's for one of our future guests, then we'll actually read that live here on the air. But the segment that Kevin is talking about are the questions we've had early. So I think I want to start this one off different and have you ask your question first. What do you think about that?
It's like a kind of truth or dare thing, or what's going on here? All right. So, if you could have a beer with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be, and why?
Wow, this is a difficult question.
It is. Ryan came up with it.
Wow, it depends on what point in the day you're asking me, and what day of the week on top of that. So if it's on a
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't ready for this one either.
This is a long list, man. I don't know if I had to pick just one. If I'm going to pick just one, since we'll probably end up talking about this eventually, it's going to be George Carlin, 100%. Like,
Gotcha.
hands down.
Gotcha.
There's no answer. That's number one on every list.
Yeah. And why?
Why not?
You're going to try to make him more PC?
I mean,
is that what you're doing? Is that where you're going with this, David?
It would probably be a step backwards to have a beer with him, but I'm not going to do anything else with him, that's for sure. But yeah, 100%. I mean, he's just that guy was a big deal for me growing up, and I feel like it'd be interesting to, because he's not just a comedian. I mean, you could tell he was an incredibly smart guy. I've talked to him once or twice, and he's been fantastic. But he's just eloquent in a way that most people aren't, and nice at the same time.
So, David, when you're not working your butt off providing branding and advice to businesses, what do you do?
Well, I have been a musician for like 27 years now. Wow. So I just sit down and, like every guitar player on the face of the earth now, I just record in the bedroom and listen back to it until I'm happy with it, which is never. And then when I'm dissatisfied enough, I take the golf clubs, go down the course, and play 18 and call it a day.
Is that an acoustic or electric guitar?
A little bit of both. My favorite's the 7-string because there's not enough. Well, nowadays there's more and more of us, but it makes for some interesting music. It's cool. Metal. You can't tell from the purple shirt, but 100% a metalhead. So
awesome. So tell us a little bit about what content you're consuming, or what books you're reading, what podcasts you're listening to, what YouTube videos you're watching. I mean, what when you're looking for content to consume, what are you currently consuming? Books, could be books.
I am multi-platform, 100%. So I've got the $10 a month subscription where I'm listening to every podcast I can think of. A lot of sales stuff. A lot of jazz. It's just I need something to calm my brain. There's a little monkey in there just banging away with them cymbals, so I got to keep him comfortable sometimes. Right now I'm reading Jeb Blount's Fanatical Prospecting, which is I don't do cold calling, but I was just kind of interested to see what it is that people do when they're calling, and a lot of sales books. And then I think I'm on my 450th read through The Hobbit, because that's just the greatest book ever written. Yeah. And if it's YouTube, it's probably golf related.
Yeah, I'm a big golfer. I like it. Any sales books that you would recommend?
Depends on what you're selling. So if you're in a kind of a B2B environment, anything that you can get with Victor Antonio's name on it is fantastic, because he has a lot to offer. And if you're kind of in that B2C where you're dealing directly with homeowners, so tradesmen and anyone who's got to be in the house, then I would say Consistency Selling by Weldon Long. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not for everybody, but he makes some really, really good points. And a lot of that's what I've gleaned over the years of selling to people and dealing with customers is there's got to be a process, and you've got to figure out if that's the right customer for you. So those are definitely two books that I would read.
Absolutely. Ron, any good books you've or any good podcasts or any good content you've been consuming lately?
It has been 2 weeks. Okay, so because I'm in sales too, so the number one thing I found recently, which I really enjoy, because it's really just breaking it down, super simple, and drawing that correlation between what I do and what he does. But Dan Locke. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
he's got a ton of YouTube videos out. I've just been putting them on the TV and watching them. One of the most recent ones I think was 5 reasons why people don't buy from you.
Yeah.
And he just broke it down. And what's crazy about it is then you just have to figure out how to create those things, such as people don't buy from you. For example, the fifth one you talked about was they don't trust you. So you just have to build trust. And it was a really good video. He sits there too with his little the dollar sheet.
Oh yeah, the money gun. Yeah.
It makes a really good punctuation.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, he's far more entertaining than if you ever get a chance to watch him, Will Barron, the Salesman podcast. He's a little too B2B, which is ironic because that's kind of what I do. But typically you're dealing with one person.
Yeah.
So if you're calling Allonsy Studio, yeah, you're probably it's you dealing with me.
Right.
I think that's me and you. That's a one-on-one thing, not a me sitting down to a board meeting. So he's got some interesting points, and he's got good guests. So, and I should mention too, if you want to read a good book, Never Split the Difference.
That's
by
a great
Chris
book.
Voss.
That
I think
is a
I've read
great
that
book.
12 times.
Yeah.
In the past 6 months, because the guy's a genius. I mean, it's literal common sense. That's all you got to have if you're going to be in sales. Common sense.
Nice. I dig it. So now for probably the most important question, David, where can people find you?
Well, me personally, probably in the house, but
123 Main Street with Joshua.
Exactly. I'm right next door. I'm 125.
I got you.
Not in the same house. No housemates for me. The easy place to go would be our website, allonsystudio.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can see us on Instagram. Things are starting to pick up there. I'm actually working on. I keep talking about like making sure that your brand resonates with the people that you're reaching out for, and one of the things that came to me was that I spent a long time trying to not be who I usually am. You know, you work in the corporate world. You got to put on the suit and tie. You got to talk regular. You got to be really nice to everybody. Hey, how you doing? How's it? Good morning. Mm-hmm. That's not how I am. Typically, I've got an incredibly filthy mouth, so I decided it was time for this company to reflect who myself and my wife really are. So we're working on a lot of things that. You know, we're not here to just be a company. We're here to be people, too. So Allonsy Studio, if you hit us on Instagram, which is just Allonsy _studio, if I'm not mistaken, you will see our new segment that's going to be coming up called Things That Make You Say. And it's everyday. It's the everyday things that are just over the top, because I think people understand that kind of stuff. And I mean, heck, I'm a normal person. You know, so you don't need to represent myself as I'm not Nike. Yeah. You know, I'm not hiding behind the swoosh.
That's right.
I'm an Avenger, man. Look at that.
Phil Knight. Yeah, I like it.
That's great. I dig it. So now's the point where we reference again the show notes. I do have David's website down there, so if you want to check him out, definitely do that. Branding is super important for any business. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you do the digital deep dive and talk to David, talk to his team, check out his website, Instagram, wherever you can find their content. I'm sure they're putting out valuable stuff, as well as providing a lot of insight for businesses. So just knowing what you need to do from a branding standpoint. But if you found any value in the show tonight, then you can find actually 3 different links down there. The first one being to our website, where we host all of the videos, audio, so the show as well as the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We're on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google, and every single other one that we can possibly think of. But the other 2 are anchor links. So one is for support. Starting at just 99 cents a month, you can support the podcast, or you can send in a message with the other link. So a voice message, ask us a question, ask David a question, ask how to start a podcast, how to start a business, anything that's on your mind. If you gain value from this and you want to gain some more value, then feel free to reach out. I know Nick and Trek CBD as a whole are happy to help with stuff like that, and Kevin and I are happy to help as well. And well, I definitely have a direct line with David here, so if there's anything you want to know or any reason you want to reach out, then definitely do that. And of course, be sure to like and share this video and podcast as well. Go ahead and subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe. And now we head into the afterwards.
Yeah, you know, first, before we cut this, David, again, thank you so much for being here. You know, definitely appreciate you. The great conversation, definitely, for me, was definitely enlightening, especially with the branding piece. A lot of things definitely resonated. I'm sure a lot of business owners can definitely relate to trying to convey that message to their customers. Ryan, thank you for being here. Thank you for being the great host that you are and putting all this together. We definitely do appreciate it. So with that, we'll see you guys next time. I'm Gavin Vincent, and this beautiful piece of man candy is Ryan putting one foot in front of the other, smelts. And David, again, we'll see you guys later on the next one. Thanks.
This episode was sponsored by Trek CBD. Please check them out at trekcbd.com. And as always, hosted by
Ryan Smeltz, and Gavin Vincent. Our special guest this week was David Moriarty with Allonsy Studio. Please check out the show notes and be sure to visit their website. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the After Brews.
So David, you were a stand-up comic.
Yeah, I think this is like the thing we've been looking for to get to. Yeah, yeah. This is where we actually want to get to.
Yeah.
I kind of want to set you.
Oh man, I'm so out of practice today. Even funny. I mean, I can hit you all day. That's the funny thing is when I was doing it, I liked as much as George Carlin's number one. I like how he had all prepared stuff, but Don Rickles was a straight up like I'm gonna come right into the audience, and that's how the game's gonna be played. Is you don't need to have you. My whole thing was punchlines, and then I got to figure out how to make something set me up to say this. And I mean, it took a long time, a lot of practice, and it was months and months of work in little places before I even went to New York to try my hand at it. And I'm unimportant, so I'm not on until 2:00 in the morning. So everybody's drunk by the time I'm talking to them anyway. So.
But you talked about what it was like to die in Ramadan. What's it like to kill them?
It's a whole different feeling. I mean, I've been in bands and played in front of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, and it's still a more powerful feeling to be standing in front of 200 people.
Yeah, because it's like you're almost naked because all you have is just a microphone and you're on set. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're truly exposed and you're in front of all these people. Yeah.
A lot of it's just like you feel like if I don't want to say anything, I don't have to, and nobody's going to make a move. They're going to keep quiet too, because they want to know what happens next, and it's just a whole different type of control that you don't usually get in everyday life.
That's true.
That kind of to be able to commanding a whole audience to do what you want when you want it. It's a whole different feeling.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that the greats make it look easy, but it's so hard. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the great comedians make it look effortless. Yeah. But it's extremely difficult to actually do. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was really surprised. My wife really loves this show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, on Amazon, and she was like, "Sit down and watch this. Lenny Bruce is in this," and I was like, "No way!" Like, yeah, that's the whole. I stopped in and watched an episode, and there was, oh yeah. When she showed me this one episode where Maisel was up there, just like you could see the bit evolving to where it got titters all the way up to where it got guffaws. So for those who don't understand this, a little laugh, huge laugh.
Yeah.
To see the evolution, I was sitting there watching it going, damn, I remember every single time you hit same punchline, but it's whatever you said before it just wraps things up. I mean, it's gotten to the point where now every day, whatever I say in everyday life probably has a punchline sitting behind it. Like that's part of the reason I offered my wife a 5-year renewable, because I didn't think she'd want me after 4 or 5 years. I also thought maybe the taxes, when we'd have to keep paying for the marriage, would help the state a little bit. Maybe they'd fix some of these roads a little faster.
Yeah.
See, this is the kind of stuff that I had to say regularly, so I should just fit it into everyday life now because I did it for so damn long.
It has to come somewhere, right?
Yeah, you got to do something with it, and in sales, you kind of have to connect with people. You were talking about having people trust you, and that's a lot of what I do now is like work. Oh yeah. Making sure that people feel good about who they're dealing with is a big deal. And look at that, I didn't destroy the studio. But making sure that they feel comfortable in disarming them, because comedy seems like the easiest way to get in touch with them. I mean, you've dealt with people before. You go to sell them something and they just
stuff face.
How do you deal with that?
For real though, like it's funny you say that because I'll walk in and that's what I do. I walk in cold to a business. I close them on something. Now, obviously, the goal is to help. So whether that be with something they don't have that they need or the price, the goal is to help. And 100% of the time that I close, I am helping. The crazy part is it's not always with price. I have had people increase their cost choosing to go with what I have to offer, but the person that you're talking about with that stone face, I mean, there was a tattoo artist about an hour from here. I walked into his parlor. He was the only one in there. I sat down, I talked to him, I just showed him what I had going on, and it's funny because now that I'm doing the business phones, I've seen this actually, I want to say 2 or 3 times now, and normally it doesn't happen at all. They're like, let's do it. And that was the guy, like, he was stone-faced, no reaction. The whole time I'm going, because I'm sure you developed a system, so there's a system that I follow. And I'm following that system, and the whole time in my head, I'm like, this guy does not care. Like, he's inches away from kicking me out.
Yeah.
And he signed, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and the only reason I got there to begin with is because, like you were saying, he was stone-faced, and no reaction. It's like, what do you do with this? Just keep going.
Yeah, a lot of it's, for me, I came from where talking to somebody about what I was selling was very, very difficult because it's a big investment and you don't want to have to deal with it. So now it's kind of the same thing, and I've spent an hour and 45 minutes with a customer before I got him to even crack a smile.
Yeah.
And that was because I was too busy trying to sell something and not realizing that I'm like, officially what I'm here to do is solve a problem.
Right.
So you can't get ahead of yourself and assume that somebody's going to work with you. And that's how we got to the point where we said, am I the right company for you to deal with? Because if we're not a match, then, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's something that kind of gets lost in sales a lot. Like, I mean, people look at it as if, like, I have to impress this person or, you know, I have to sell this person per se. But, I mean, people buy from people that they trust and that they like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just being a person and finding that common ground and letting them know that you're confident in how you can actually help them. I mean, a lot of doors start to open up after you look at it that way versus trying to say, hey, I'm going to go in there and sell them something. No, you're not selling anything. I mean, you know, the person buys when the actual value exceeds the price of whatever you're selling. I mean, they have to actually see that value. They have to deem you as being confident. They have to, you know, see it as something that's valuable to them. You know?
You don't discount the building importance.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big wall reader.
Mm-hmm.
You always have that 2 or 3 minutes where, like, they're bringing you in, and if you're paying attention, whether it's a piece of sports memorabilia, a diploma on the wall,
Right.
I have, in all the sales situations I've been in over long times, it's rare for me not to find some common ground with something.
Right.
You went to the University of Massachusetts? I was born in Boston.
Yeah.
You're kidding me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
you're on, right? You're
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
you're finding common ground.
Yeah.
But on a completely separate note, if you're going to provide value, you have to use a microphone. So maybe next time I'll just set up. I have no excuse for not setting up 4. That's my fault.
Yeah, that's all
I
right.
should have just set the 4th one up.
Oh,
It would have been easier.
it's all right. That's all right.
Things.
I'm not going to live in the past. But these are wireless. I can just throw it at you.
That would be a pretty good show. Just throwing the mic back and forth.
Yeah. Be like,
Horrible audio quality,
what's
but the
his name?
visual was intense.
Gotta do it like Netflix with, was it Dave Attell and Jeff Ross bumping mics? I consume a lot of comedy stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, like, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm constantly listening to people.
Yeah.
Because, you know what, to be honest with you, if you're selling something, and like right now, with this business, I don't feel like I'm selling. Like, if you're calling us, you obviously need my help. So now you're calling the experts. It's like calling a plumber, calling an electrician.
You're still prospecting in a way, so how do you get those people to call you?
Simple. You gotta be the company that they want to deal with. So instead of being the company, I would rather be the people. You know, you get to deal with David, not the guy, the owner of, the co-owner of, or co-founder. I don't remember what I'm listed as. I think I'm co-founder or co-owner and project manager of Allonsy Studio. Instead of going by a title is what? It doesn't get me any more money because she's in charge of the money, so I don't get nothing anyway. So I'm lucky.
Welcome to marriage.
Here I am at Sheets putting a Red Bull on a credit card. I hope she doesn't find out.
Yeah.
But you know, if instead of dealing with the owner, now you're dealing with David, the guy that you saw on Business and Brews, the guy that you saw on, you know, the Instagram, the guy that you saw on YouTube, the guy that's very clearly on the website. I'd rather you deal directly with me, and by being more personal, because that's what it's going to be going forward. It's got to be personal touch. You know, I might not handwrite you a letter because I don't know if you want to read my handwriting, but
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to try to reach out like that.
It sounds like you and your wife kind of balance each other out. Like you're kind of the yin to the yang in a sense. I mean, I know she's more behind the scenes and you're more out in front dealing with the clients. Is that kind of how the roles play out?
I mean, like I said before, if the flamboyantly lilac shirt didn't give it away, then yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, I'd rather be out in the front lines because she's a little more reserved than I am, and I'm used to being the entertainer. I'm used to kind of having to be in everybody's face and notice me, deal with me, you know, tolerate me. And now I'm getting a little old to be interested in it anymore, but it's kind of my shtick now. You got to stick with it.
Any good dad jokes you got over there?
No kids, so no dad jokes.
Oh, okay.
I got dogs. I don't know if that counts.
Dog jokes?
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, dog dad jokes.
No, I don't.
Ron may have a few.
Yeah, you might. If you got one or two, I might need some.
Did you used to be a comedian back in the day, or did you used to be? You used to be a stand-up comedian back in the day. I feel like you've done just about everything, so I don't feel like that's kind of an off-base question. No, okay.
I'll tell you what. When this is all over, we can go do it together.
Yeah.
You gonna try, man?
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that, you know, we all have 24 hours and mine are kind of full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought long and hard about going back into it because, you know, I'm not terribly far from Charlie Goodnight's, and by the time all this blows over, I don't think people are going to appreciate the way that I tell jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see that show.
I don't know if it's going to go over near as well as
My favorite comic is Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh,
He is not for the weak.
he is not.
He is not for the faint of heart.
No, he's definitely not.
Yeah.
I'm kind of that. I've always liked to be that guy. Like, I don't do because three things that you can't talk about as a salesperson. It's religion, politics, and nowadays it's which bathroom you use. Used to be something different, but I got to change that one out every couple of years. So I mean, as much as I appreciate every comedian, I don't know. I've tried very hard to get into them, and I'm like, yeah, it's got like the same. He hits it the same way every single time, and I like to branch out a little bit.
Yeah.
There's
I was at one comedy show. It was at Charlie Goodnight's a few years ago, and the comic was Corey Holcomb. I don't know if you, literally half the audience got up and left because it was so offensive. I thought it was so freaking hilarious, but literally, I mean, but that's kind of the world we kind of live in for the most part right now.
Frustrating because like, that's your audience, but at the same time, I just feel like you can't listen to comedy with your morals because it's like
That's the problem, is everybody does.
Yeah.
Nobody appreciates that. That's kind of what drove me out of comedy initially, was a series of jokes back to back to back that ended me in a really bad position with just one audience member. And then he started showing up week after week and just sitting in the audience like dead fish staring at me, not moving. I'm like barely 6 foot tall, and he was like 8'13". He took up more space. He took up more space than any single man should. It was like Andre the Giant. He could have put his elbow on his head and still had to lean down a little bit. I mean, this guy was huge, and he just followed me week after week after week. And by the 11th week, I was like, you know what? I think I need to retire. I think I'm done. There's when I left, because we're from New Jersey originally. I was doing a lot of small stuff in New Jersey, and then I would go into the city at night because when you're nobody, you don't get to go on before 2:00 in the morning until you build a little bit of notoriety, and then you get to go on at prime time, somewhere between 11 and 12:30.
Yeah.
Man, he followed me into the city one night, and I was like, nope, I'm done. That's it. It's over. Like, I stepped on his toes in just the complete wrong way.
Yeah.
I should have shut my mouth a long time ago. And I thought about going back into it now, but I feel like there's too many. I mean, all the people that are slightly younger than me are starting to get into the comedy thing now, and they don't like the same jokes that I do. So
Yeah.
Dealing with whatever the younger generation is now.
How old are you? Just out of curiosity?
33.
Okay, so we're all kind of right there together. I'm
Yeah.
37. You're what? 40, 50.
59.
It's incredibly useful. 59.
36, 34,
It's all millennials.
35,
I'm 33.
33. Huh.
Yeah.
Another 11 days, I think.
Wow. Wow.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah.
I've got several
Really,
months
yeah.
left.
Happy birthday.
I got
Well, I mean,
screwed.
here's the birthday plan. I mean, we go out for drinks and we drag Ryan to an amateur night. Amateur night.
yeah,
That would
that's
be
the
a
way to
great
do it.
idea.
That's the way to do it.
That is.
The funny thing about this is, like, I'm down for it, but he makes it sound like an initiation or something, and I'm not afraid of people.
No. No, it's not an initiation. I just want to see.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure I've got something written down that I could be like, well, I'll just go off of this. But there would definitely be no plan. We've
Yeah.
already established that.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, you got to throw it out. I started out with a plan.
Microphone, you can talk into it. Now I got 30 minutes. I want an amateur night, so you
5 maybe.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
If you're lucky, you get 3 on the real short ones. Like 5 is a pretty.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Anything more than that.
Because I can talk enough. I might not be funny, but I can fill 5 minutes, no problem.
I can tell you, I spent